Just between you and me, there are some big red flags when it comes to eating around Disney World nowadays. But what red flags should you be on the lookout for? And how are they going to impact the way you eat in Disney World during your next visit? Take a seat. We're going to reveal all of that today here on DFE Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. So this is a shocking video for us to make for sure, but we're here today to accomplish two important tasks. First, we want you to be aware of the big deterrents when it comes to eating around the parks as of late. And two, we want to help you surmount these issues so you don't get caught in the same Disney dining traps as everybody else. Sound like a plan? Great, let's get to it. First up, that elephant in the room, let's talk about prices. I can already hear y'all wilding in the comments going, oh yeah, the Disney dining prices are dumb. I'm not here to gaslight you. You're right. Those table service restaurant prices are not kind to wallets, especially when it comes to table services with prefix menus. At a table service restaurant where you can purchase your apps and entrees and desserts individually, you've got a better chance of paying a price you're more comfortable with for the meal you actually want to eat. Comfortable being a loose term here. It's all relative. However, when you have to pay a prefix cost to dine at certain restaurants, including those family style and buffet options, then you're pretty much locked into one steep price point, no matter how much food you actually wind up eating. It's like those self-serve froyo places. Some are going to charge you by the ounce, so you can pay for as much or as little as you want, while some charge you by the whole container, meaning you're going to pay the same price whether you fill up your froyo with just a teeny bit of golden vanilla or have it overflowing with icy goodness. Yep, if you're someone who likes to fill their froyo cup to the brim, or rather eat a really hearty meal during your Disney trip, then the prefix dining option might actually be a good deal for you in the end. But if you're someone who likes to munch on a couple of apps and drink a couple of waters before moving on with your day, you may not be too keen on paying over $70 per person for a ginormous spread of food that you're not going to eat. So if you're on the hunt for a table service in Disney World that doesn't charge prefix prices for their food, here are a few of our favorite options you might want to consider so you can dine the way you want to, price-wise. Olivia's Cafe is a beachy, breezy, casual restaurant in Disney's Old Key West Resort, where apps range around $10 to $16, entrees are $11 to $25, desserts are around $9 to $10, so you're almost at counter service prices here. Grand Floridian Cafe is a relaxing restaurant inside the Grand Floridian Resort that serves tasty, moderately priced items for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Apps range from $12 to $17, entrees $16 to $29, desserts from $9 to $10. That is. Mama Melrose's serves Italian dishes with California charm. I know, it doesn't make any sense to me either. Inside Hollywood Studios with apps that range around $8 to $16. Entrees are $19 to $36 plus. Those are getting a little steep for me. And desserts that range around $7 to $11. Okay, last one for now, though we've got so many other suggestions for you as well. The Plaza Restaurant is a bright and airy dining parlor that serves classic meals in Magic Kingdom with apps ranging from $10 to $15, entrees from $17 to $25. Remember when they were so much cheaper? I do. And desserts ranging from $8 to $12. Those are really good desserts, by the way. Booking a Disney World restaurant can be a tedious procedure that many families may rather not want to mess with. That's not to say booking a dining reservation is hard. You can easily make an advanced dining reservation via the My Disney Experience app or through the Disney World website, or even by calling if you're willing to brave the super long waits on the phone lines. But for those uber popular restaurants like Cinderella's Royal Table at Magic Kingdom, Space 220 at Epcot, Chef Mickey's at Contemporary, getting an ADR is like playing a game of slapjack with a lot less red hands. ADRs open up 60 days before your vacation kicks off, and technically you can book a table at any restaurant at any time during that 60-day window. You could even book a table at any restaurant on the day of your visit, if there's availability. And that's the big kicker, because just as soon as the clock strikes 6 a.m. Eastern, aka when resis tend to go live on the site, those more popular restaurants tend to get swooped up real fast. And if those were the restaurants you had your eye on in the first place, it's easy to get discouraged and not want to go to any at all if you can't have your number one choice. Now, the easy thing for me to tell you is to just set your alarms for 60 days before your trip and get online before that 6 a.m. ADR drops so you can be ready to secure your spot in the restaurant. But let's be real here. We all have jobs, and if you're out on the West Coast, that means I'm telling you to be ready to book reservations at like 2:30 in the morning, and that's not reasonable. So If you can't get those ADRs right when they go live, here are a couple of other alternatives you can turn to. First of all, remember that ADRs have changed for the better recently. Back in March of this year, the My Disney Experience app made a major update so that you can now search restaurant availability for multiple days at a time instead of just one day. That gives you more chances to secure those coveted dining reservations for later on in your trip if you can't get them for the exact day you're looking for. To use this new feature, you're going to start by looking for reservations per usual. Press the plus button on the My Disney Experience home screen and select Check Dining Availability. You'll then choose your party size, your start date, and time. However, once the screen loads, you'll notice a new Check Availability for Multiple Days button beneath each restaurant. By the way, side note, if there's one specific restaurant you're trying to find reservations for, don't forget you can also just go directly to that restaurant's main page, online or on the app, to cut out the whole search and find game when it comes to tracking down dining availability. Once you click on that button, it'll direct you to the restaurant's individual reservation page. From there, you can edit your party size, and then you'll need to select your date range. The calendar will show you all the available dining reservation days 60 days out, and when you select your first date, it'll show you a selectable range from you to choose from. You can pick up to 10 days at a time, and the app will automatically select all the days between the two dates that you chose. Also, you might want to try finding a Disney dining dupe instead. If you're still coming up dry in the reservation world, you could maybe, instead of Cinderella's Royal Table, you may want to grab reservations for Akershus Royal Banquet Hall in Epcot instead. This Norway Pavilion restaurant has Princess Storybook Dining, which will still give you the opportunity to meet lots of princesses right in a big castle during your meal, just like you can at Cinderella's Royal Table. It's not as big a castle, I understand that, but it's still pretty castle-y inside. And instead of Space 220, you might want to try joining the walk-up waitlist for the restaurant's bar seating. Now don't confuse this with the Space 220 Lounge. The Space 220 Lounge still requires you to make a reservation for it, but the Space 220 bar seating is all first come, first served. So head over to this restaurant before it opens, before 11:30 a.m., for your best chance of getting on that walk-up waitlist. And when it comes to Chef Mickey's, this restaurant might be the only one on property where you can meet all 5 of the Fab 5 crew members in one dining experience, but many other restaurants also feature Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and/or Pluto as well. So you can look over which restaurants feature which characters and make sure you're booking a meal where your favorites are for sure available. The Fab 5 appear in other character dining experiences like Hollywood and Vine at Hollywood Studios, Cape May Cafe at Beach Club for breakfast only, Ohana at Polynesian Village, again breakfast only, Topolino's Terrace, once again, breakfast only, Tusker House in Animal Kingdom, and Garden Grill in Epcot. And actually, if you're going to take my recommendation, just skip Chef Mickey's completely and book the meal at Garden Grill. This is a magical place where Mickey wears overalls and serves you mac and cheese. So what more are you looking for, really? Now, nothing hurts quite like dropping $100 plus on a restaurant and it not meeting your expectations. Not even a little bit. So Disney restaurants can be inconsistent. You know what I always say, the only consistent thing about Disney World restaurants is that they're inconsistent. Menus change, chefs change, you change. So even if you've eaten at a Disney restaurant before and absolutely loved it on a previous trip, there's still a possibility that it may not be the bright and shining experience you remember. But that's why you're here, hanging out with your friends here at DFB. You don't want to be left in the dust eating at a restaurant that's so last year. And that's why we keep returning to these restaurants, because we're not just going to eat somewhere once and pronounce it awesome till the end of time. And we're also not going to completely disown a restaurant permanently because we had one bad experience with it. No, I have to have a lot of bad experiences for me to disown someone completely. So we literally have no loyalties here. If I got a cup of my glorious plastic cheese tomorrow and it turned out to be the worst thing ever, I'm not going to gatekeep that to save face. I'm going to say, look, plastic cheese betrayed me. And now I'm all sad inside, but I want to warn you so you don't get burned like I did. For the record, this has not happened. Plastic cheese and I are still BFFs, but it could, and I'm just using as an example. In fact, I want y'all to be so in the loop about which restaurants are making us feel joyous at this very moment by giving you a free and recently updated guide to the top restaurants in Disney World right now. All you got to do is scan the QR code you see on the screen or go to disneyfoodblog.com/top restaurants to get your free guide sent straight to your email. And best of all, when you pick up this free guide, you'll also automatically be signed up for our DFB newsletter, which is also free and super simple to unsubscribe from at any time if you hate it. That way we can continue sending you the latest Disney restaurant news and reviews straight to your email. But aside from that, how can you avoid booking a restaurant that's going to ultimately let you down? First of all, make sure you're looking over those menus before making any advanced dining reservations. You're going to want to know about any and all menu switch-ups that might have happened recently, price increases, ingredient changes, or even entire removals. That way, you can either brace yourself for these changes and not be shocked by them on the day of your restaurant visit, or you know ahead of time to choose a different restaurant that may cater to your standards more. Don't forget to check out our recent restaurant reviews on the DFB website too, because we're going to let you know straight up what's changed and what stayed the same between our last couple of visits, so you don't have to do all the research yourself. All right, let's talk about those no-show fees. This is a mistake that I still make all the time. Sometimes it's not really my fault, but I still make it. So yeah, speaking from personal experience here, sometimes you wish you would have just never made a dining reservation in the first place to avoid the repercussions of that no-show fee. But let me back up. What is a no-show fee? How can you wind up cursed with one? For the most part, Disney's no-show and cancellation policies for restaurants are the same across the board. If you don't cancel at least 2 hours before your reservation time and you don't show up to the restaurant at the time you're scheduled for, then you'll have to pay a $10 penalty per person for your missed reservation. And that stings as is, but it could be worse, much worse, which is illustrated through Disney's high-end restaurants that you have to pay for in advance, like Cinderella's Royal Table in Magic Kingdom and Hoop-De-Doo Musical Review in Fort Wilderness. Both of these restaurants require a full payment at the time of booking, but if you need to cancel them for whatever reason, you need to do so as soon as possible to get a refund. Because if you don't cancel your Cinderella's Royal Table seat before that 2-hour window leading up to your reservation, you're not going to just be worrying about a $10 no-show fee. You're going to be charged for the full experience without getting the chance to eat there, and that could be hundreds of dollars depending on how many people are with you. And for Hoop-De-Doo, that full charge will impact you even sooner. Instead of 2 hours out, you'll need to cancel your table for this dinner show more than 24 hours before your booked time. And then there are the real fancy schmancy restaurant cancellation policies like Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian, Monsieur Paul in Epcot, Takumite also in Epcot. All three of these restaurants are going to charge you $100 per person as a no-show fee if you don't cancel your table in time for that full refund. Each restaurant has a different time frame you'll need to make those cancellations by to avoid paying that steep price for a whole lot of nothing, which is also confusing. V&A has the least amount of wiggle room, requiring you to cancel at least 5 days in advance to avoid the $100 per person charge. Monsieur Paul asks that you make any cancellations 72 hours before your reservation to avoid unwanted no-show fees, and Takumite requires you to make all cancellations and changes at least 48 hours before the day you were supposed to dine there. If you make ADRs and you're scared about missing them during your Disney day because you don't want to be slapped in the face with a bill for a meal you didn't eat, I'd suggest setting an alarm on your phone to give your group a reminder for when you should start heading toward the restaurant. Set this alarm based on where you think you might be on property that day. For example, if you're planning on being in Magic Kingdom all day, you're not going to need as much time to get over to Skipper Canteen since it's located in that park, but you will need some time to get over to Boma since it's all the way over in Animal Kingdom Lodge, which means you'll be potentially transferring between multiple bus stops or modes of transportation to get there, or you might have to wait a long time for a bus. I also recommend setting an alarm for when you would need to cancel your dining reservation if you were going to. That's a good one to just have go off and remind you, hey, if you're not going to make it to this dining reservation, time to cancel it. Hundreds. That's how many restaurants you have to choose from in Disney World. Literally hundreds. And while sure, this does mean you have a greater chance of finding something that you're going to fall in love with, it's also really overwhelming. You got quick services, snack stands, drink kiosks, table services, character dining, signature restaurants, lounges, so many options. And if you're like me when it comes to narrowing down a lot of different choices, sometimes it's just easier to throw your hands in the air in defeat and go, whatever, there's a McDonald's less than 5 minutes away, let's just do that. And while I'm never one to turn down a McChicken, I also don't want you to ever feel like you're settling during your vacation, just because the options were too large a scope. So if you're looking for a guide to help hold your hand through all things Disney food related, we have got you covered. You are in the right place. Our DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining not only covers every single Disney World restaurant you're going to find on property, but it also has a 5-step strategy for Disney dining planning. It's basically when you're done reading this book, you're going to know where you're going to eat and you can just be free from there. It's freedom. We're promising you freedom. It also has personal tips to ensure a positive and stress-free dining experience. It's got downloadable worksheets. Who doesn't like those? Sample dining itineraries for a head start on planning so you don't have to think through it. We already did it for you, and more. Not to mention, this book is digital, so you can easily look at it on your phone or your computer before or during your trip. And if you want to check this guide out or any of our other guides also featured at dfbstore.com, make sure to type in code YouTube before you check out to apply an extra discount to your purchase because you found us on YouTube. Now, this sounds very millennial Gen Z of me, but it's true. If you're just looking for a quick and easy meal and you don't really want to grab another expensive one inside the parks or maybe even at your own hotel, you can instead go for what you know hits the spot each and every time back home, the fast food. Now, you can always jump in your car and drive to one of those nearby fast food locations if you've got the means to, but delivery apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats can also deliver your on-the-go grub straight to your hotel for you. That way you can enjoy it from the comfort of your hotel room, jammies and all. But before you rely on these services to give you the goods, here are a couple of words of warning you'll want to keep in your back pocket. First, before ordering, triple check that the restaurant or store can deliver to your location. Make sure you put in the actual address for your hotel, not the address for your home back where you're from, because I've done that before. I've actually had food delivered to my house when I've been in Disney World. So just don't make my mistakes. 2, check to see if there's a particular delivery service or app that's more economical in terms of delivery fees. When we checked, Grubhub had the highest delivery fees, ranging between $3.99 and $5.99, and typically expected 30-minute delivery times. DoorDash hung around 20 minutes with delivery fees ranging from $0 to $2.99, and the shortest and cheapest delivery fees recorded by Uber Eats at 15 minutes and delivery fees ranging from 49 cents to $2.49. Now 3, keep in mind that these delivery services can't deliver all the way to your room. You don't want them to, that's not safe. So be prepared to walk to the lobby or front of the resort to pick up your food. Okay, it's the conundrum of the century. Mom wants to eat somewhere new. Dad wants to eat somewhere nostalgic. Big sister wants seafood. Little brother wants anything but seafood. Aunt Susan wants to eat at 50's primetime, and literally none of the cousins agree with her. Come to find out, deciding where to dine at Disney can really put a huge strain on your whole family. You only have so many meals, and everybody wants to eat at different places, especially when you're trying to decide on food at the last minute when everyone's already hangry and hot, and we're all at our wits' end. And that's why some families never end up eating at certain Disney restaurants, because the whole fam just can't seem to make up their minds about anything. Not only is it a good idea to plan out your Disney dining ahead of time for reservations' sake, but it's also good to plan ahead so that each person in your group can pitch 1 or 2 suggestions to add to the itinerary. That way, everyone gets a say in where you get to eat at least a few different times during the trip. Taking turns is awesome. And don't count out the idea of splitting up either, because if Aunt Susan pitches her idea of eating at 50's primetime, but your side of the family would much rather skip the kooky server shenanigans and just get something quick at ABC Com, it's okay. You can do that. Just let your group know your plans ahead of time so everyone's on the same page and knows where you can reconvene after the meals are all finished up. Okay, I have some stories for you about children and Disney World restaurants. Tantrums always happen at the wrong times. You will get hugely embarrassed by the things your child does in the restaurant on a regular basis, and potentially your husband. So there are lots of things that can happen when it comes to kids and dining reservations, kids and restaurants. Moral of the story, kids will be kids. They may be squirmy because they're too excited to eat and they want to get back to the parks, or they may be whiny because they're so tired nothing sounds good to them. And when you know that sounds a whole lot like your kid, you might avoid booking a table service restaurant altogether, just to spare yourself as well as everyone else around you. I'm only saying this from experience because I can't tell you how many times I had to pay no-show fees because my kid decided that was the time that he was not going to be handleable. Now, here's the good news, because this is Disney we're talking about here. A lot of the Disney restaurants actually have really top-notch table service experiences that'll help keep your kids engaged all meal long, which is great news for you because you'll get to sit down for a little bit in the AC and actually eat your food. So here are a few sit-down restaurants we think your kids might like just as much as the rides and shows, if not more so. And most of these are proven contenders from myself and from our team here at DFB. So starting out with T-Rex in Disney Springs. This is all about the huge dinosaur skeletons and prehistoric vibes. The shtick here is exactly what you find across the way at Rainforest Cafe. You're in the creature's world while you eat your chicken nuggets or pizza. The menu is full of creative names, but the cuisine itself is pretty standard. You're going to find classic favorites like burgers and pasta, even some seafood options like coconut shrimp. The kids' menu is pretty hearty with familiar favorites like mac and cheese, pizza, corn dogs. This spot isn't winning any culinary awards anytime soon, but it provides some kid-pleasing options, and they've got enough stuff to look at that it'll keep them busy. Now, a word of warning on this restaurant for those who are sensitive to noise. Every 20 minutes or so, there's a meteor shower that makes part of the restaurant go dark and change color while sound effects happen. So if your kids are into dinosaurs but not loud noises, bring some earmuffs or earplugs or other devices that can soften this feature for your kiddo. Now, this is a restaurant that all ages are going to fall in love with. Here you can dine with a view of the savannah. We're going to Sanaa at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So you can see the animals out and roaming around the grounds during the day, which is so exciting for the kids and kids at heart too. This is honestly one of the only restaurants in Disney World that kept my kids' attention for long enough for me to actually eat a meal. Now, Sanaa has a spectacular bread service. They've got classic African cuisine, but the kids menu has some more familiar options like cheeseburgers and cheese pizza. Now, Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater at Hollywood Studios. This is a drive-in and a restaurant together as one. It's fun, it's actually indoors, and your kid just gets to watch TV the whole time. Now, you're in a car at a drive-in watching silly mid-century B movies about zombies and the Blob, and a server glides up to your table with a burger, shake, and some fries. Perfect. The entrees are items that everyone recognizes, mostly burgers, pasta, salad, maybe some ribs. Families sit in a car and watch a movie on the huge movie screen while sitting back and relaxing and having their shakes, and kids get a chance to sit in the front seat while munching on familiar options like cheeseburgers and chicken strips and mac and cheese. So it's a unique experience that the whole family will get a kick out of, especially the kids. And of course, I got to bring it back to character dining, because who's a better distraction for your kid than Mickey himself? Several restaurants like Garden Grill, Tusker House, the Crystal Palace have meet and greet opportunities while you dine, so you don't have to worry about waiting in line for these characters once you're outside the restaurant. Just keep in mind that not every kid finds the idea of meeting their heroes all that charming. So if your kid usually screams in terror when they meet Anna and Elsa and Olaf at their friend's 3rd birthday party, then they're probably going to do the same thing here. If they're not an Easter Bunny kid, they're probably not a fur character kid. Now, here's one of the main reasons why some people are deciding not to eat at Disney World restaurants anymore. They're fending for themselves because it's way cheaper that way. You can bring your own snacks and meals into the parks to picnic and save a little extra money in the process. There are a few rules about what you can and can't bring in food and drink wise though. No alcohol, no foods in glass containers, no meals with super potent smells, and no items that need to be kept frozen or reheated. But pretty much everything else is allowed in the parks, like veggie sticks, protein bars, Slim Jims, sandwiches, peanut butter crackers, whatever else you think your family is going to stop and munch on during your Disney day. If you're flying to Disney World or don't have space for snacks in your luggage or car, you can use the grocery delivery service like Kroger Delivery, or stop by a local supermarket before reaching your hotel. All in all, if you don't want to spend money on Disney dining, you don't have to. Not at all. Which Disney probably doesn't want me to tell you, but I couldn't not tell you, you know? Now, this is one of my major concerns about not just Disney table service, but the standard Disney dining plan as a whole. Because as awesome as sit-down meals can be in Disney World, and as great as they can be to kind of resuscitate you in the middle of a very, very hot, crowded day in the parks, they also majorly cut into your day. When you invest in the standard Disney dining plan, which prepays for a quick service meal, a snack, and a table service meal for each day of your visit, you're pretty much locked in at that point. If you don't use your table service credits because you'd rather prioritize rides or shows instead during one of your park days, you don't get your money back for whatever you don't use. Instead, you either have to plan on using that table service credit on a different day of your trip, which could mean doubling up on table services for lunch and dinner, or watch your money just go poof in the big old Disney money abyss. Trying to schedule lightning lanes around dining reservations can also be kind of stressful, since you'll be navigating the parks with multiple pre-made plans that'll have you zigzagging all over the place. The good thing is that Disney does offer up a quick service dining plan option. If you'd rather prepay for 2 quick service meals each day of your trip instead, then this is the cheaper option of the 2 DDPs, and also allows for a little more wiggle room in your schedule. But with that being said, you're still pretty much tied down to making sure you use every single quick service and snack before the end of your trip, which might not give you a lot of options for faster alternatives like door dashing at the end of the night, or packing a little picnic for yourself, or even tasting your way around one of the Epcot festivals. Now, I don't want to completely dissuade you from the Disney dining plan, because the convenience of prepaying for all your meals before your trip is a big green flag, but you'll definitely want to make sure you're okay with that idea of locking in the way you dine before you commit to the DDP purchase, whether it'll be the standard or quick option, because once you buy it, a good chunk of your trip is going going to be dictated by where, when, and how you eat. I'd recommend checking out some of our Disney dining plan videos over on our channel when you get the chance to, because these videos go into greater depth with how the Disney dining plan works, the pros and cons of using this service. We've been using it since it first started in 2005, and how to get the best bang for your buck if you do decide to use it. Okay, what about you? Is there a certain Disney World restaurant you're looking forward to eating at during your next trip? Or are you sticking with the PB&J sack lunches to save a buck or two? Let us know about your upcoming dining plans, and don't forget to pick up our free Disney World Top Restaurant Guide over at disneyfoodblog.com/top restaurants. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.